this AvTims video, we're going to build a Piper Cub. Plans for the Cub are available on avtims.com for free. So print out your plans and heat up your glue guns, and let's get building. This is Marissa. Her nickname is Rue, for Little Rissy Rue. My wife and I have a blended family, and Rue is the smallest of the 6 girls. For a little over a year, Marissa's been flying a nutball. She's been doing great, but she asked for an airplane that looks a lot more like an airplane, kind of like her sister's airplanes. Madison and Michaela have both built airplanes from FlightTest.com. We really learned a lot from that website. The flight test designs actually inspired us to build the Piper Cub. This one I built for my daughter Morgan. So we're going to follow Marissa's progress while she builds a Piper Cub. The first step is to download the PDF files from avtims.com. Next, open them with Adobe Reader and click Print. There'll be several options. Click on Poster, 100%, and Cut Marks. Use a paper cutter or scissors to trim the pages, line up the marks, and tape the pages together. There's lots of different ways to do the next step. Some people cut the pieces out and laminate them to poster board. I like to just roughly cut them out and lay them on top of the poster board. Scotch tape them down so they don't move around too much. X-Acto knives are very, very sharp, so I helped Marissa with the cutting. There's lots of different methods, but I like working on the edge of a box. I work my way around the larger pieces, just removing foam as I go along. To keep the pattern from moving around, we use Scotch tape to hold it still. When it gets to the curved parts, we take a little bit at a time and take it slow. Sometimes you have to wiggle the knife up and down, or you can take several slices at a straight line. It'll appear to be rounded. Blue lines are score lines. Use the point of a pencil. It'll make a little indentation in the foam. Black circles indicate where you poke holes with barbecue skewers. Save the paper fuselage sides. We're going to use them later to mark the windows. Next, we're going to bend the fuselage halves. Hold with one hand and lift with the other. Next, Marissa used a plastic card to cut the 50% cuts all the way through. She really enjoyed picking off the little extra piece of foam. It's starting to look more like an airplane part now. Next, she finished off the 50% cuts on the wing parts. With all the parts cut out, we took a moment to clean up, and look what we had. Now we worked on the hinges. Marissa used a sanding block to create a 45-degree bevel. I used an X-Acto blade, but the results came out exactly the same. To create the wing camber, we used the overbend method. We overbend the wing, crushing the foam until we can release the part and have it lay nicely on the angle guides provided by the plans. Marissa lays a healthy bead of glue in the crevice. She then uses a piece of scrap foam to wipe the excess glue. Blow a little, it'll help the glue cool faster. Well, there's a good looking wingtip. She took what she learned and applied it to the center section of the wing. At this point, she told me that she could do it and wanted to do it by herself. She did a great job. It looks good. Glue on the tip, she used the wing guide. It's kind of hidden under her fingers there. It's a little tricky using the Scotch tape on the bottom of the wing, but she did a great job and figured it out. Trimmed off the edges nicely and had a nice wing. She used the tape measure to find the center of the wing, then hot glued the popsicle sticks on for the rubber band supports. Now pretty confident since she finished the wing, she moved on to the fuselage. Leaving about an inch on either end, she laid some hot glue in the channel and held the side of the fuselage upright. Once it dried, she added a little extra to the inside for strength. She flipped it around and did the same thing on the next side. After that, she secured the windshield and the nose cowling. Make sure to lift the paper looking for loose parts, secure it with foam, and press down with your fingers. Next, she glued in the engine mount block. One more flap on the bottom of the fuselage, and the front of the plane is complete.
Ouch! Hot glue guns are very hot. Make sure you have an ice pack standing right by you.
She's doing such a great job, isn't she? Next, she's going to finish up the back of the fuselage. Next we come to the tail. She slid the rudder inside the elevator and then slid that assembly into the fuselage. She took her time making sure everything was nice and straight, and when she was ready, she glued it in. Since this plane is a tail dragger, we used a barbecue skewer as a tail skid. Marissa had a good time cutting that off. She laid a bead of glue on each side of the control surfaces, securing it in there. Make sure they're nice and straight. This will affect how the airplane flies.
It's a time to put the skewers in. That's my favorite part.
Sure is. You start with one side, poke a hole through, cut it to fit, and then glue it in. You can also use a little bit of poster board to reinforce these barbecue skewers, but a little dot of hot glue holds them in nicely.
Remember that pattern I set aside? Put the pattern on the paper plane and line it over the skewers. Press the windows with the pencil. When you take the pattern off, you'll be able to see the indent on the foam.
Now we're going to add the barbecue skewers for the landing gear. You do the same thing you did as on the top. To put on the faux engine, just glue the little square foams onto the engine pieces and then glue those to the side of the fuselage.
This is my nut ball. Some of the parts can switch back and forth. I'm going to use the landing gear. It's held on by rubber bands. Time for the power pod.
We put barbecue skewers in, lined up with the holes on the power pod. Quick note on the power pod, this is the same power pod that was developed by Flight Test. You can visit their website. They have several videos on how to build the power pod. Also, you can buy motors and speed controllers from them as well. Looks like she has a good fit. Just got to line up that back barbecue skewer and you're all set. Before we put in the electronics, Marissa wants to see how it looks all put together.
Check out my plane.
Okay, Marissa, are you ready to put in the electronics or do you want me to do it?
You could do it. I'm too busy eating my yogurt.
You want to put your servos in the back, hide them underneath the vertical stabilizer. You need one on the left and one on the right. Use a piece of a popsicle stick to reinforce the two elevator surfaces. You can either make your own hinge. I like to just buy these. They're so cheap, I buy them 10 in a pack for like $1 or $2. I usually like to use end stoppers, but I was out of them for this build, so we just used 2 Z-bends. For the rudder push rod, I like to cut a little slot in the horizontal stabilizer. This way my control horn can be closer to the hinge. A little piece of Velcro on the back of the receiver and on the bottom of the power pod holds the receiver in nicely. Depending upon the motor you select, you can use several different types of battery. My dad figured out that you could mount the battery up on the bottom of the nose to move the CG farther forward. If you need to move your CG back, you can put it inside.
The center of gravity is very important.
It sure is. You don't want an aft CG. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching this Avtim's video on how to build the Piper Cub.
Visit Avtim's website for more videos and click like on Facebook.